Outer Orange.
Martola is banned! We got a lot to talk about. Previous CF new information that kind of came through for the next year, so let's go ahead and talk about what the future of Cardfight Vanguard is going to be looking like. So we had quite a bit of news for the Divine Z stuff. There's 6 new Destined Born people, thingy-mabobbers, some lore stuff, new fighters that we can bring in, and the new Keter guy. This is Akina, and he'll be playing Keter. And then we have the Velstra dude is back, so he'll have the Velstra stuff. So really sick art, by the way. Masanori is back, and I'm assuming he's gonna be like the villain of the arc, but we also have the new Zorga, which by the way looks amazing. The Ursula is back, very Ursula vibes, got the trident and everything. So very interesting to see how they're gonna make him look with all the new stuff. Which by the way, there are new mechanics coming, so then stay tuned for some divine mechanics. Let's go ahead and keep going. Next we had this guy. I'm not a big Dragon Empire fan, but he does look pretty cool. I do like the new Batama look / Dragon Empire feel they gave to him. And then we have this, which I was so happy about. This isn't just like a, oh, it's because I play lyrical type of thing. It's the fact that I play lyrical that I'm really excited about this, because this is the first art in a while where it doesn't look super cheerful, happy, woo, dancing and singing. Really like that about this one in particular. I just really like the aesthetic of this one. It's not a uniform, and I was never really into the whole uniform thing to begin with, and I'm definitely more into this. I like this a lot more. I definitely like the more serious vibe they gave the lyrical card here. The lyrical being part of the main sets now and being part of like the actual nations. It feels like the set actually, it feels like this nation actually belongs now, and just seeing this was like really exciting. Also, overall, the art's just really cool. I'm really excited to see what they do with this. I'm assuming they're all going to be related to the Divine Z effect, so they will be they'll probably be played very differently from what we're used to in terms of Cardfight Vanguard, but it is really excited to see. Definitely the highlight. I saw a lot of really happy people on Twitter over this, and I'm definitely one of the people. I'm tired of waiting for 6 months to get my effect triggers. I'm tired of waiting for 6 months to get my mechanics. It's just very annoying that the lyrical is always behind, so it being in the set I think is definitely the way to go. I know some other people are kind of mad about it. They're like, oh, well, I kind of liked opening and keeping things separated, or the other way around, it makes the ratios weird and stuff like that. But honestly, there were 6 nations. It should have already been like this. That or the sets should have dropped at the same time as the main sets dropped, and that still would have been weird, because obviously like there's still just some, you know, you don't want to like push out sets like that too quickly, and it kind of ruins the market a little bit, you know. So I think this is definitely the best approach. I think this solves a lot of problems, so I'm very excited about this. I think this is definitely gonna be really fun to see. You also had the Orphist guy, the guy that drew Orphist drew this, and this is the Dark States unit, and this looks actually really cool as well. This design looks absolutely amazing. I think they did a really good job here. I know my face is walking a little bit, but I think this looks gorgeous. It kind of gives me that Dark Souls feel, and I'm really all for this one. I think it looks absolutely amazing. And then after that, we got some more characters introduced, and then this was hilarious to me. Like when I saw this, I was just like, what is going on? Why is grade 4 Magnolia like one of the random units back, like out of everything? Also, Lelouch is casting, Lelouch is voice acting this little guy, Lelouch from Code Geass, if you don't know. I absolutely love this concept. Also, this gives me really big Pretty Cure vibes, and I'm a big Pretty Cure fan, so I do like where this is going. It definitely has that little bit of like that pushing towards like the younger audience concept with it, which I like. I do hope that they still consider the Western audience as these things are happening, but this is definitely a nice little addition. I know for some people it's like, oh, it's just a little dude, a little mascot, but I just think it's a really cute way to kind of push towards like that audience of like that like Pretty Cure audience. I think it's like towards that area, and I dig it. I'm a Pretty Cure fan though, so I dig it. But anyway, this is sort of what it looks like. This is the all 6 characters with their respective bosses. I think it's gonna be very cool. This is definitely a really good direction. It is interesting that Keter is going to be like the main protagonist, and then we have like everyone else basically, but I think it's gonna be really cool. I think it's a really cool lineup so far. I don't really vibe with any of the characters so far. I think obviously the Divine Z character is definitely gonna be the spotlight for most of this stuff, but obviously I like Masanori. So but otherwise I've always been more of like a unit person over at the humans behind it type of thing, so I'm definitely more excited about the units in the background more so than the characters playing them. But still, it'll just be really cool to see where that goes. They're talking about the skill that they're going to announce, which they did announce this morning, so we'll see more of that. So let's go ahead and kind of go down. Some people have been talking about this is releasing. Oh my god, it's not Nirvana. That's crazy. I can't believe it's not Nirvana. It's like one of the few sets for a while that doesn't have Nirvana in the, oh my god, it's crazy. Anyway, but yeah, that's dropping, and this is kind of like where we're going. We're gonna have our trial decks first, and then we're gonna have the booster, and then we're gonna have this second booster come out. Illusionary Twin Swords is April 5th, and then Battle of Dynasty is the 9th, and then on the 19th, we're getting the start deck. So it's gonna be pretty cool, pretty exciting. And then they obviously talked about the manga here, the new manga that's coming, which that has been with the Korokoro mangas. Comics, that's definitely been a topic of bringing Korokoro in with Vanguard, which is definitely like a interesting. I think it's called like Skyride. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's called Skyride. So that's also just really interesting to see where they take that. So I'm really excited about that. And then we have the new mechanic that's going to be introduced, which we do have introduced. And then also here comes the rule changes. This is really big right here. A lot of people I don't think are aware just how huge of a difference this is. As someone who's been slowly stepping away from Vanguard being that my only card game and kind of actually playing other card games, having these two rule changes is pretty interesting. So the first one is actually something that I was wondering if they were going to do, and then they did do it. So they increased the deck size of standard decks. It's now 50. So you have 15 main card decks, and then you have 4 ride deck cards. So basically it's the exact same as before, just add +4. It's not 46, it's 50 now. I think this is a very, very, very huge difference. It's not even more so, I know that percentage wise it's like not a big deal, it's only 4 cards, but you know, as you're drawing, as you're doing stuff, as you're checking triggers and everything, it does make an impact. And I think just increasing this is better. Also for deck building, this makes a lot more sense, especially since there's just so many tech cards that are being added, like Regalia's pieces and one-ofs and all this random stuff. I think just increasing the deck size just makes things a lot easier. I always felt that it should have been 50, to be honest. I was kind of like weirded out by the fact that it was 50 total. It made it more simple, yes, but I actually like the concept of it being 54. I'm really happy that now the ride deck basically is not part of the main 50, and you can just have your ride deck and then also have 50 cards that you just get to build with whatever you want. But there's one more thing. It's the second thing. It's this part. The going first, going second rule has changed. So before, if you roll the dice, whoever wins or whatever the random decision is, it could be rock paper scissors, whatever decision you used before to decide who goes first is gone now. Whoever wins whatever mechanic you're using, they get to choose if they want to go first or second. So if I win the dice roll, I get to choose if I want to go first or second. If my opponent wins the dice roll, they get to choose if they want to go first or second. This might sound super minor, but this is actually a really, really, really big deal. And I really want to kind of like emphasize just how important this is, because that choice does matter, especially as we're going to get more complex decks, more interesting stuff. This really is a big deal for premium too. Premium has with the extra quick shields and stuff like that, and you know, some that matchups you care about that kind of stuff. Some decks prefer going second, and I think just in general this really takes a lot of impact for what we're going to see. I think the only format this doesn't touch as well currently is actually V Premium, because V Premium does want to usually go first, and going second is a little bit harder. And I do think that if they add more new mechanics, which I assume they might actually be adding more new mechanics, that'll change. But I think right now V Premium is probably the least impacted. I think Premium and D are definitely gonna be the most impacted with this change. I just think this is great. As someone who plays One Piece, and that is a rule in there, it's really that decision matters a lot sometimes, because it's an extra card draw, it's extra mana, and in here it's kind of the same concept, an extra card draw and extra mana if you go second as a D player. And that's a big impact. In Premium, it's extra quick shields, it's revealing the Messiah, it's just having that extra shield to work with if you want to stride first. Like I do think those things matter. D as well, you get the access to stride first. It makes Jet more interesting. So if you're aware that if someone's playing Jet, then you know you can keep that in the back of your mind. Do you really want to go first into that? You know, it's just stuff like that I think just makes a difference. And though it is like quote unquote like still RNG, but it is still a decision being made, and you can make the wrong decision. And I think that is a very important. You can say, well, you want to go second or something, and realize that going second was the worst decision that you could have possibly made, or maybe going first was the better decision. I do think it matters. It is between both players that the decision basically gets decided. And I think that's a huge difference, and really, really, really looking forward to it. As a One Piece player, all props to this, because in One Piece this is a joyride. But keep in mind, in One Piece, the leader is always open. It's basically like telling your opponent that your Vanguard's always open. Like meaning like you always know what your opponent's gonna ride into for their grade 3. In One Piece, you always know the leader your opponent's playing, and because of that, the dice roll matters even more so in terms of the deciding factor. Like you need to know the matchup and decide like, okay, is it worth going first or second into this Vanguard or that Vanguard? Or in One Piece's case, there are leaders. And it does make a decision, and it does train a person who's testing into decks and making those decisions. It's definitely a playtesting thing. You can actually make the wrong decision and screw yourself. So I'm very happy. Maybe in the future we'll have more open-ended decks or more knowledge about what people are playing, and maybe that'll change with this in mind. And I don't know, we'll see. It's definitely a step in the right direction. We have the ban list. Talking about it, obviously Martoa in Premium did get banned. It's just Martoa. It's official as of, I believe, what does it say here? The first of the year. So as of the first of the year, Martoa is banned at Premium. This was honestly, I'm fine with this. The only thing I was worried about is this being affected in V. Bermuda does like this card, and it would sad to see her go. So I'm really happy that they decided to go this route. I thought they might errata it or something. I talked to some people about potentially just errating her to be a hard once per turn. Banning is also was a really good side solution. It definitely stopped every single loop deck that Bermuda had access to in regards to this card. And there's definitely a lot of them. There are a lot of janky ones, a lot of good ones, bad ones. You know, there's a bunch of ways you could have looped with this card. So So luckily enough, with her being gone, that's just not a thing anymore. Some reprints of what's going on. This is really good right here. I really like this because these can be played in any decks, and it just means that trigger access will just be a lot easier. These are Cray Elementals, so they can be played in all the nations and stuff like that. I think this is awesome. I think it's very useful. I'm very, very happy about this. The PGs got reprinted. The red and blue over triggers are also getting reprinted pretty soon, by the way. So this is actually really awesome for those people that are having trouble getting access to these. They are having another reprint coming, so hopefully the price will drop on these. They are pretty impactful. They are pretty important. Also seeing these get reprinted too is really good. Now let's go into the new mechanic. This is the energy generator mechanic. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I know some people are already having like some ideas and all this crazy stuff. I'm feeling kind of in the middle. I want to see more. I kind of want to interact with it before I can give you guys like my full 2 cents, but we can always go over it. Basically, in your ride deck, when you ride, you can put this card into your crest zone. This card right here is a ride deck energy generator crest. And if you're going second, you get 3 energy instantly. So basically, again, into going second, you have the instant access to this, which is really good if you want to use it. And then you can only have up to 10, and keep in mind you can't exceed 10. So let's say you have 8 and you go up 3. Guess what? You're still at 10. So if you want to use some, use it. And then so yeah, that's that. And since at the start of your ride phase, you can basically get 3 energy. So every single start of your ride phase, you get 3 energy, and then once per turn on 7, you can draw 1. Something you can keep in mind here, this is probably the reason why they increased the deck size. I don't think they physically could have put this mechanic in if they didn't do that, because people would just deck out. Like people already deck out in D as it is. Like it's already like common to deck out, and then imagine having access to this. So once per turn, just draw and just deck out faster. Like that's all this really says. You want to deck out more? Here you go, just deck out even more. So this is interesting, and the fact that the going second player gets access to this a little faster is just really cool, since they'll already have 3. And they will just have faster access to this, which I think is also just a really cool concept. So just again, going second, going first, that dice roll is really going to start impacting some gameplay. Keep in mind decks like mass decks and stuff like that. Obviously, we're going to have some decks that are going to be played differently, which will also probably have some kind of importance between going first and second. But this again is just adding on to that. So I think this is really cool. Then we have the new elemental. This is another Cray Elemental. This is basically part of the whole energy system. It says Vanguard. When you would ride from ride deck, you can ride by paying. You can use 4 energy instead of discarding a card, which is really cool. It says when this unit is placed on Vanguard circle or put on guard circle, you can use 2 energy and give 5k power, 5k shield till end of turn, so it becomes a 10k. And also becomes a 15k beater. So just another little baby concept of sort of what we might be seeing with the energy. So some skills might be using energy like this instead of just the normal route of just, you know, counterblasting. So one thing to keep in mind, this is a little bit harder to deny from your opponents, so they definitely have to be careful with this stuff. And if you're going second, you know, you have to play carefully into that, knowing that they can play cards like these. So that's the biggest thing to keep in mind, because soul blasting can't really deny, but you can deny counterblast. I feel like energy is a little bit hard to deny, unless in the future we get abilities that say you can take energy away from someone, which would also be something interesting that they can add into this mechanic. I played a little bit of Digimon, and Digimon, this is kind of like a back and forth, like balancing mechanic, and this one it's a little bit more like individual to individual versus like fighting each other's mana, like it is in Digimon. But still, it's just really cool. It is definitely interesting to see where they go with this. I don't know where they're gonna go with this, but we'll have to see sort of how they start playing this out. There's some Q&A here about them. You can have other crests with this, so if you have this crest, you can have another crest with it, so you have 2 licenses now instead of 1. And also, as I mentioned earlier, if you have 8 energy and then you get 3 more, what happens to your energy? It becomes 10, so you can't exceed 11. I'm assuming, unless there's some kind of weird ruling that let's say you can. Otherwise, you can't. In terms of rules, you can't. So, and then you can use dice. You can't. I thought this was a little bit of a bum. Gonna lie, I was kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks. But I kind of knew, like going into this, I was like, yeah, they're probably not gonna do it because they don't allow for anything else. You can't keep track of anything with dice unless outside of just power gaining, which is very odd to me because it's the only thing you can really keep track of. Like, but yeah, basically you can only use the energy stuff that they give you, you know, and then it forces you to get the trial decks, which I guess is a good thing because then it gets people to buy the trial decks, but at the same time it's kind of like, why just, I don't know. I see and I don't see. I'm kind of weird about this one. I'm not really the biggest fan of not being able to, like, I get having the energy card, but I think the energy counters on the card, I feel like you should just be able to just throw down your dice and be like, all right, I'm at 6, you know, but whatever. Here's the license right there. So this is where the license would be. And then, yeah, I think that's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it. So that's all the new stuff. In terms of the energy stuff, I'm a little bit more like, we'll see once we have more information type of thing. I'm kind of just like waiting just for more cards to come out. Obviously, we have like 6 boss cards that are coming out that will probably be using the energy mechanic in some way, shape, or form. So there's definitely a lot to kind of wait for before starting to make assumptions or anything like that. I feel like once we have more cards or just more stuff to look at, it'll be a lot easier to understand the mechanic itself. Right now, all we have is, yeah, as you ride up, you get energy, and then you get to draw, and then you have like a Crayon Mental that lets you do stuff with it. But we don't really have anything more. I think that was like a teaser, and then we're probably going to get even more stuff as we go, and I think it's going to be really exciting. Obviously, the BANLIST is really good. I'm definitely think the most excited for the first going second thing. I'm excited to see where all this goes. It seems like we're going in a changing how things work type of style. It definitely seems like we're trying to prioritize people who go second more, or not prioritize, but we're trying to give more love to this going second players, and that is really good. It is nice to see. I personally never hated going second in D, unless I just get randomly destroyed by Gravidia riding up. But overall, I've actually had a great time going second because drawing extra cards is good, and as a Stochea player, I just love drawing and digging through my deck as fast as possible. So I've never really, hated going second. Sometimes going first felt better, depending if I was on Flagberg, for instance, but also losing out on that extra draw is what sometimes brick me. So, but yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very excited to see where this goes. But other than that, guys, 50 cards shop, code orange if you need your goodies. Obviously, set 13 just dropped, and we're getting new information here coming out. So, get your pre-orders ready, all your other stuff. So, yeah, 50 cards shop, code orange for that. And hope you guys have a wonderful week. And yeah, stay tuned for anything else that I do or any other video that come out with. Other than that, guys, peace out. That's with Daniel. See you guys in a future video. Bye.